All right, time to destroy the Teddy Atlas robbery narrative right here, right now, man. Teddy Atlas, horrible, horrible, horrible commentary last night. If you watched that fight and you listened, every time Tim Bradley would say that Horn was doing something good, Teddy Atlas would try to shoot it down and correct him, saying, oh, well, he's really not landing, Tim. All the while, Jeff Horn was landing right hands on the side of Manny Pacquiao's head. For whatever reason, Teddy Atlas turned a blind eye to those shots. He couldn't see them. He definitely couldn't see him. And then if you looked at the first round, you know, Jeff Horn was backing Manny Pacquiao up. He was pushing him back to the ropes. And again, a lot of the awkward movement that Jeff Horn was doing, a lot of that herky-jerky upper body, head and shoulder movement was really throwing Manny Pacquiao's rhythm off. And you could see that. And also, the side-to-side movement was throwing Manny Pacquiao off as well. Jeff Horn was basically moving side to side, moving to his left, and then quickly going right back to his right. And he was doing that repetitively in this fight, and he was taking a lot of the punching angles away from Manny Pacquiao when he was doing that. Because Manny Pacquiao usually used to be in the guy moving from side to side, creating the angles for himself, beating his opponent to that spot, and catching his opponent out of position. He couldn't do that in this fight because Jeff Horn was right there with him in the foot speed department. He was cutting off the escape routes. He was taking away the punching angles from Manny Pacquiao in this fight because of a lot of the movement. Now, this is the thing. Manny Pacquiao is definitely a dynamic fighter. He's a sharp, flashy, explosive type fighter. And when he punches, he throws really explosive type punches, real short, crisp, appealing to the eye type punches, whereas Jeff Horn doesn't always do it pretty. You know, as I said, a lot of what he did was very cerebral. It was a lot more scientific than people are going to give him credit for because he did do real well with the movement. When he moved side to side, a lot of times he would stop when he moved over to the right, and he had that little hesitation where Manny Pacquiao had to think, is he going to shoot the right hand right from there, or is he going to step forward with a jab and set up a 1-2? So he kept Manny Pacquiao guessing, and I'm not saying Manny Pacquiao didn't suck him into traps at points in this fight. I thought rounds 2 through 5, I thought the counter left hand was excellent in this fight for Manny Pacquiao. I thought Jeff Horn did walk into some shots, but he took them very well. And then, you know, he started switching things up, I feel, in the 6th, 7th, and 8th round before getting hurt in the 9th round, which I'm going to talk about later. But what Jeff Horn was doing was he kept changing up the rhythm and the speed of his movement. Sometimes, you know, like I said, he would move side to side, but he would hesitate and throw that little feint before throwing the right hand, and sometimes he wouldn't hesitate. So I think after a while, he said to himself, I'm not going to jump right in and get sucked into that left hand. He waited a little bit, and he made Manny Pacquiao move a little bit forward first, and then he waited for Manny Pacquiao to come to him a little bit, and that's where he was landing the right hand. And a lot of those right hands, as I said, were landing to the side of the head. So they weren't as flashy as Manny Pacquiao's straight lefts. But in the rounds that he was landing those not so pretty shots, those clubbing shots, those not so eye-appealing shots, and even in the 6th round where he landed an uppercut that he got no credit from, that Teddy Atlas horribly overlooked. And also at the end of that 6th round, he landed a right-left hook combination. And all Teddy Atlas was thinking about was the left hand that Manny Pacquiao landed 30 seconds prior, so it was ridiculous. So a lot of the work Jeff Horn was doing was getting overlooked, and you want to talk about effective aggressiveness. He was effectively aggressive in this fight because when he was pushing Manny Pacquiao back, okay, he was taking Manny Pacquiao out of his rhythm. He was pushing him back, not allowing Manny Pacquiao to punch, not allowing Manny Pacquiao to get set. And he was landing a lot of short, choppy shots on the inside that were partially blocked, but they were partially landing. So you can give him credit for those blows because Manny Pacquiao, in the meanwhile, is doing nothing in return. So in the rounds that Manny Pacquiao won, he did land cleaner shots than Jeff Horn landed. But that's not to say that Jeff Horn didn't do some good work in there as well. His work may not have been as pretty as Manny Pacquiao's, it may not have been as flashy as Manny Pacquiao, but he put in a workmanlike effort in this fight where this Manny Pacquiao, this version of Manny Pacquiao, tends to take a lot of the round off and fights in spurts. He threw roughly 500-something punches according to punch stats, which I don't really put much stock into because I'm not going to sit there and count punches. And if you think that Jeff Horn only landed 90 punches in this fight, then you can go on believing that, because I think that's a joke. And these same people said that Kell Brook only landed 11 jabs against Errol Spence. And if you believe that, okay, all the power to you. You know, I'm going to sit there and score around individually, and I'm going to add up my rounds at the end of the fight. And let's talk about this 9th round. Because Jeff Horn, I thought, won the first minute of the round. The second minute of the round, I thought Manny Pacquiao took the play away from him. And Jeff Horn didn't get really hurt until there was 85, 90 seconds left in that 9th round. And he did hurt Jeff Horn, no question, with the left hand. But he couldn't follow up. He hit him with a few more, but he couldn't put the finishing touches on it. He didn't, you know, set his punches up with a jab. He didn't go to the body. Didn't vary up his attack. He was left hand happy. And Jeff Horn saw it coming. If you put Errol Spence in that same position, look what Errol Spence did to Kell Brook. Look how much of a varied attack he employed to get Kell Brook out of there in their fight, where Manny Pacquiao basically even paused when he initially hurt him, and then he decided to go back in after pausing because he kind of sat back and admired his work a little bit. And you know, this Manny Pacquiao just isn't that same volume type puncher as the old 2009 version was. He's definitely has dulled reflexes. He's definitely lost a step. So, as I said earlier in my video, I thought this fight was a draw, but I did see some swing rounds in there. The 4th round particularly was very close. I did give that to Pacquiao, but if I do give it to Horn, it does allow for a 115, 113 win for Jeff Horn. So Teddy Atlas can say robbery all he wants, but he himself scored this fight 7 rounds to 5 for Manny Pacquiao. And if he doesn't give Pacquiao a 2-point round in this fight, then it doesn't end up being 116-112. It's 115-113, which translates into a very close competitive fight, not the blowout that he was insinuating happened. So if you want to give it a 10, 8, and a 9, you can. I just didn't see it. But all throughout the course of this fight, Tim Bradley was saying, I like what Jeff Horn's doing. This fight is closer than a lot of people think. And every time he said that, you saw Teddy Atlas jump down his throat and try to change his mind. And he even said at one point in this fight that Jeff Horn can't afford to make mistakes, but Manny Pacquiao can, insinuating that Manny Pacquiao has displayed one-punch knockout power in the welterweight division, which he hasn't shown. He's a volume guy, or he was a volume guy. He was a guy that would hurt you with punches you didn't see if you were a fighter, and he usually wore you down with volume and speed. So it wasn't the power, it was basically the explosiveness and the surprise factor and the speed of his punches that would get people out of there at welterweight. The only one-punch knockout that he landed in, was against Ricky Hatton. That was at 140. And after that, he has not displayed one-punch knockout power. And Jeff Horn was huge in this fight. He was a lot bigger, appeared to be a lot stronger, and he was mauling Manny Pacquiao on the inside, and that also had an effect on wearing Manny Pacquiao down. So I scored this fight a draw. Thought it was close and competitive. I have no problem with people who think Manny Pacquiao won, but even Teddy Atlas had this fight close in the rounds department. He had it 7-5 for Manny Pacquiao, and if 7-5 is a decisive victory, then I don't know what to say, because that indicates to me that it was a close competitive fight. And I think Teddy Atlas was trying to convince us that this was the Manny Pacquiao of old. He was trying to convince us that at some point in this fight, Manny Pacquiao was going to land something big and get Jeff Horn out of there. And when his narrative didn't play out the way he wanted it to, he was trying to sell us to the fact that whatever Jeff Horn was doing wasn't really effective. And he was trying to justify his pick in Manny Pacquiao and justify the talent gap, which on paper we all thought there was, but you still have to fight the fights and prove it. And he did not prove it in this fight, that the talent gap was as wide as we thought, or as wide as Teddy Atlas was trying to indicate to us that it was. So again, just my thoughts on this. We're going to talk about it later tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, a Ringside Reporter podcast. Make sure you join us, call in. I want to hear your take on the fight. I know there's a lot of debate on this. There's still a lot of polarization about this, but it is what it is. We'll see if Manny Pacquiao takes the rematch. Until next time, guys, talk to y'all soon. Peace, Beavers out.